So in this recording we are here to start and discuss a little about HIV transmission. Kalaga memory stasu recall kam no manga view che the principal reservoir of human disease is human body itself. No dalta humda case the. So let's start the HIV transmission. So the transmission of HIV requires the transfer of or direct contact with infected body fluids, and the most important of these body fluids is blood and semen. Blood contain 1000 to 1 lakh infective viruses per millimeter, and semen contain 10 to 50 viruses per millimeter. So, and these body fluids, the viruses are located within cells in these fluids, and especially in the macrophages in these fluids. So HIV can survive more than 1.5 days inside a host cell and about 6 hours outside a host cell. This is important for the to know about the survival of the HIV. Kamanga tada pata nahi chera de outside the host cell sumra survive kai no the transmission chi kam roots di bia manga ga paage bane bia manga ambiguity raji pai ke bia manga shakuna ko. So that's why it's important to know that HIV can survive more than 1.5 days inside a host cell, but only about 6 hours outside a host cell. Now coming to the routes of transmission, if I remind you of yakatasu recall ke khpala memory, so we have studied routes of transmission chaga dre qismo yo contact transmission, balvo vehicle transmission, balvo vector transmission. So HIV is not transmitted through vector and through vehicle transmission. HIV that is only transmitted by contact transmission, and amongst the contact transmission, HIV is transmitted through direct contact transmission and indirect contact transmission, and HIV is not transmitted through the third type of contact transmission, that is droplet nuclei. पर droplet nuclei के पजरिया बने HIV न transmit की सिर्फ को direct contact transmission या indirect contact transmission ना HIV transmit की. So the routes of transmission include intimate sexual contact, breast milk, the lactating mothers, the breast coming from the mothers to the children. In that way HIV is transmitted from mother to the kid, to the infant in the breast milk. Transplacental infection of a fetus during childbirth and during the childbirth ka placenta that's material rashi or fetus or large body ta ya reproductive tract ki kam fluids hi again a fetus this large with a transplacental infection way. So HIV is transmitted through transplacental infection of a fetus. Then alawa blood contaminated needles blood HIV infected person blood na needles contaminated shvi da blood HIV transmit ki organ transplant ki HIV transmit ki if the donor is infected kadaga organ transplant she the recipient may become infected. Similarly HIV is transmitted through artificial insemination. Artificial insemination is done to get to achieve pregnancy. Blood transfusion HIV transmit ki by man transmission routes thi che pare bani HIV transmit ki If we look at these transmission, padde ke sexual contact, breast milk, transplacental infection of fetus, these are direct contact transmission. These falls in the category of direct contact transmission. The rest of these transmission, blood contaminated needles, organ transplant, artificial insemination, blood transfusion, دا چې دي نو د دا بیا پکې دا دغه چې کوم دي دا نیډلز والا خبره ده یا ارګن ترانسپلانټ یا نور داسې روټس یا هغه بیا په انډایرکټ کانټیکټ ترانسمیشن کې راځي. If we talk about the risk to the healthcare workers, so the risk to the healthcare workers can be greater. For example, the risk of infection for needle stick injury is 0.3%, which means that 3 out of 1000. And similarly, چېرته هاسپټل کې څوک کار کوي یا لیب ورکرز دي هغوی ته د نیډل سټیک نه انجري وشي او دغه انجریز چې کوم وي هغه د کنټامینیټي د انفیکټډ پرسن د باډي فلویډز نه نو 3% چانس په دغه کې شته دا 0.3% چانس نو هیلث کیر ورکرز ته چې دی نو they have a greater risk of getting infection. Amongst the sexual contact, the most dangerous form of sexual contact is anal receptive intercourse. Anal receptive intercourse دا چې په sexual contact هو هغه unnatural یا non-natural way باندې sex perform کوي. Vaginal intercourse is much more likely to transmit HIV او بیا په دې کیس کې په vaginal intercourse کې from man to woman transmission چې that is more high or more risky چې د سړو نه ښځو ته transmit کیږي. Transmission can occur rarely by oral genital contact. HIV is not transmitted by insects or casual contact, as I told you earlier. So the casual contact includes hugging or sharing household items. ډېر خلک داسې چې هغه فرض کړئ HIV پازیټیو پرسن یا ایډز والا سړی د هغه نه بیا یریږي نو دا یاره داسې نه ده پکار HIV ټرانسمیشن په عامو طریقو باندې نه کېږي. صحیح ده. Kissing is not known to transmit the virus, as saliva generally contains less than 1 virus per milliliter. او د مخکې له پاسه که تاسو وګورئ هلته موږ لیکلي چې transmission can occur rarely by oral genital contact. نو په دې کې دواړه سایډ پاسبیلیټي کمای دواړه پارټنرز د سایډ نه پاسبیلیټي کمای خو به هر حال کیسینګ چې دی not known to transmit the virus, as the saliva contains saliva of the infected person contain less than 1 virus per milliliter. For developed countries کې چې دی transmission by transfusion is unlikely or very less because blood is tested for HIV or HIV antibodies. However, there will always be a slight risk as discussed earlier. هغه دا چې موږ مخکې ویلو چې یاره انټیباډیز بیس ټیسټ که موږ وایو نو چې انټیباډیز ډیولپ کېږي د انفیکشن نه وروسته نو پای کې ډېر ټایم لګي. په دغه دوران کې که چېرته بلډ ټرانسمیشن یا بلډ ټرانسفیوژن کېږي او ډونر انفیکټډ وي نو بیا مسله جوړېدی شي. نو دغه پکې دا پوینټ موږ ځکه کلیر کړی دی چې there will always be a slight risk in blood transfusion. So now یو څو خبرې به ډسکس کړو چې په دنیا کې د ایډز څه صورت حال دی. the status of AIDS worldwide. No, approximately 35 million people are infected with HIV, which are present and which exist in the world population. An estimated 67% of these are in sub-Sahara Africa, where the prevalence in adults is about 5.2% of the population. Adults چې کوم دلته ګروپ ایج ورکړی شوی دی ایج ګروپ ورکړل شوی دی 15 to 49 years old چې کوم دي په دوی په ایډلټ کې کیټګرایز کړي دي چې دا ایډلټ موږ دې ته وایو صحیح ده نو په دغه 67% انفیکشن چې دی هغه په سب سهارا افریقا کې دی او په سب سهارا افریقا کې چې بیا کوم انفیکشن دی پای کې 5.2% چې دی هغه ایډلټس دي South and Southeast Asia estimated 3.8 million people where the adult prevalence is only about 0.3% for South and Southeast Asia کې چې کوم څومره خلک بیمار دي او تقریبا 38 lakhs دي او 38 lakhs کې بیا چې کوم adults دي هغه about 0.3% دي due to establishment of HIV in China او موږ ته پته ده چې چاینا او انډیا کې د populated countries دي so the establishment of HIV in China and India the incidence could exceed more than 1 million new cases a year come new cases راتلی شي دا possibility 1 million cases دا ځکه چې د چاینا او انډیا population ډېر زیات دی Eastern Europe, Russia, and Central Asia are also areas reporting a steep rise in HIV infection. In Western Europe and United States, the mortality from AIDS has decreased because of the availability of effective antiviral drugs. غلطه په West Europe یا امریکا کې د AIDS نه death rate چې کوم دی هغه decrease شوی دی because of the availability of effective antiviral drugs او دا antiviral drugs په وخت کې وایو these are not such drugs which completely cure the AIDS or HIV infection خو کوم survival چې دی هغه extend کوي in the early days of the HIV pandemic in the US and Europe the transmission was most commonly by male homosexual activity and with the use of injected drugs. These factors are still very important in Western world, particularly in North and South America and Europe. Currently, 1/3 of all HIV infections in Eastern Europe and Central and South Asia are by use of injected drugs. However, if we talk about on global basis, so worldwide the heterosexual transmission is predominant, which is about 85%, especially in the less developed parts of the world, such as the center of the pandemic in sub-Sahara Africa. A feature of the pandemic in recent times has been the increasing percentage of women infected with associated mother-to-child transmission, and 42% worldwide, most living in sub-Sahara. The current increase in the pandemics or recent increase in the pandemics of AIDS is due to the transmission or prevalence of AIDS in the women, which is 42% worldwide, and most of these women living in sub-Sahara Africa. Most of these cases of young women infected by older men. So this was all about the AIDS status of the AIDS worldwide, and in next recording inshallah we will discuss about the scenario of AIDS in Pakistan and some other relevant topics like treatment and vaccines and the new research regarding the pandemics and epidemics of the AIDS.